Hey, book club besties!
From Scrubs to Book Club, we're two burnt-out healthcare workers who love to yap about books. I'm Katie.
And I'm Star, and welcome to Aimless Attention Podcast.
Today we're going to be talking about Bunny by Mona Awad. So, Star, you've been getting mad at me for how many romance books I made you read. So then I said, that's fine. Here's a horror book, and you're still mad at me!
It's a horrible book, okay? It's like schizophrenia written down.
So, this is a strange book. I really enjoyed it. As primarily,
Bunny!
Okay, that's the thing is, I read it paperback first, and then I did a reread with the audiobook. Oh my god, the audiobook! Hi, Bunny.
Hi, Bunny.
Hi, Bunny. I'm like, it's like stuck in my head. I will just be sitting there doing something, and I just hear "Hi, Bunny" in my head over and over again. So I'm waiting for that to go away. Thank you, audiobook.
Yeah, thank you, Katie, for making me listen to it.
Jeez. I really enjoyed this book, though. It is very weird, but it's fun. So
I didn't hate it. I don't want to come across like I hated it. I think when you said it was like, I don't know, more psychological, I was expecting like a psychologically like
I think
to
it's
be like
technically a horror book. Like I think the genre is listed as, well, it's fiction, but I think it was listed as horror somewhere.
yeah, it has like a weird, I don't know, it just like
It's an
just, like,
unreliable
I'm just, like,
narrator. Like it's
like schizophrenia. Like, yay, your brain's just like going about it. I don't know, it was weird.
yeah. So we opened this book by meeting our protagonist, Samantha Henry Mackey, who is a fiction writing student at Warren. We learned that Warren is in a town that is just terrible. Like they keep talking about people that keep getting like decapitated, or women that are getting sexually assaulted, or people who are getting mugged, like all these horrible things. It was like, don't step out after dark.
Yeah, they have like car services that you could like ask to be, and she's like, it's the middle of the day, and it was like,
Yeah. They'd
how
safe ride.
bad is it that like you're like, I don't know.
Well, they had safe ride. Safe ride, I think, is a thing that happens on a lot of college campuses.
No, and
know
I
the place
understand
had,
that, but I'm
still,
just saying like
yes,
the fact that like
specific for Warren and the whole town, it was known to be like terrible. If you weren't in like on Warren proper in the like Ivy area, then
Yeah.
it was just like horrifying, and you
Right.
didn't want to be out on the streets. She said that there was like a man walking towards her, and he was just muttering and muttering and muttering, and she was like, "Oh, that's just what happens every day." Like she's at a social for her college. She's like eating a cupcake or whatever, and that's when we get to meet Ava, who is her friend with the feathery white hair, who dresses in all black. She always has on mesh gloves, is just very like alt, I guess is like the best way to kind of talk about her. She's very like, oh, smacky. Everyone else
it's funny
sucks.
she said alt. I had to think about it. I was like, what the hell? We used to call that alternative. It was just,
I mean, it's
like,
alternative.
no,
like,
I know, but I'm just thinking like the age difference between the two of us. Like I had a moment where I was like, fuck Katie.
like I used a slang term you had to think about for a
I
second.
did. I was like, alt. I was like, that was alternative when I was a kid. That was me when I was a kid. I actually loved her description of her like dress, because that was like how we dressed in high school. Like that was like, and like that was the cool girl shit though. Like you didn't like, it was like the preppy girl, and there was like, I don't know. It was just, I loved it. There was like lots of things I did. Like I loved her. Like everything she wore was always like her. Like, didn't she have like bright red lipstick or something?
Yeah, she had like bright red lipstick, and then it was always like smeared.
Yeah.
And then she had like silk dresses.
Yeah,
so
it
black
just
silk
always,
dresses,
like-
but she always wore. She was like very sleek and like
Yeah.
water-like and stuff. And it was
Yeah.
all, we'll know why those descriptions are there later. But we meet them, and they're sitting at a social, and she's smoking a cigarette, just being like, "Why are we even here,
Yeah,
Smacky?
like,
This place is terrible. Why are we here, Smacky?" And she's like, I have to show up. Like she's in a cohort of 5, right?
Yes.
So there's the 4, what she calls the bunnies,
Yeah.
or they call each other the bunnies, I guess. But she doesn't call them by their actual names. So she calls them the Duchess, Vignette, Creepy Doll, and Cupcake.
Creepy Doll freaked me out. Like the name itself was just
Well,
like,
she had like the tiger eyes.
yeah,
or whatever.
it was just like,
They all have their own little quirks. Like Cupcake's like the really sweet one, and then the Duchess was obviously like the leader.
The leader.
And she always like, she wrote, all of her writing was on glass she etched with diamond, and then Vignette always had these vignettes that she wrote, and then Creepy Doll was just kind of like creepy and stuff, and like had these like, eyes that like stared her down and stuff. So all of them had like their own little characteristics that she named.
something about Creepy Doll though, like I hate to say this, but like all of them, like I pictured in doll form, you know. But Creepy Doll was like, do you remember? Oh, you might not, but do you remember like the doll when you would lay it down, its eyes would close?
Yep.
Like, but you remember how big its eyes were when they were open? You were just like, it was like I see you. And then you'd lay it down and its eyes would be completely like, that's how I pictured her. Which I kept trying to like stop picturing this doll, but I kept picturing these like almost like Chucky sized dolls, like my buddy and me, like just running around. It's just hard not to like, just the descriptions were like her and Ava.
Yeah.
Her and Ava, like I picture like normal humans. But everybody else, like she describes them like there's like the wolf. Like I can't picture him without like having some kind of
the lion.
The lion.
Yeah. So we kind of meet most of the main players are introduced in this first chapter. So we get Ava, who's like her best friend, right?
Yeah.
And then and we know that they're on the fringes of everything. Like she always kind of has this internal dialogue. Oh, Samantha, you think you're so much better than everyone else. Oh, Samantha, you just want to be on the outside of everything. And so she has this kind of internal dialogue that we can't tell as readers if this is just her having self-confidence issues or if it's what people have kind of ingrained in her because of how she acts,
you can't
right?
Really, like,
it's really difficult to know what is real and what's not in this book. We meet the bunnies who are in the corner like, oh, Bunny, I just love you so much. Oh, Bunny, I missed you. And they're like hugging and they're rubbing their peach fuzz cheeks against each other, and they're all in like Peter Pan color dresses and like very girly, just can't not touch each other. Like, I just missed you so much. Never go away, Bunny. Like it was very weird, like culty, right? And so this is her cohort. She has them and her, and that's kind of how everything's been. Then we have, was it Voskow is her actual name? Her name's Ursula. She calls her Voskow or something like that. And then the bunnies call her Care because she takes care of them. Like but they have workshop together that they do. And then we learn about the lion, who is her academic advisor, basically.
I don't know why I thought his name was the wolf.
I think I think one of them, like, is it Creepy Doll or something like that, always gets mentioned having like a wolfish smile and stuff. There's a lot of wolfish mentions too.
Hey, what about the guy that she's dating?
The guy that she's dating,
was he the wolf?
Max? No, he's not. He's a elk, or not an elk, a stag. And then
I don't know where wolf came into my brain.
They mentioned wolf a lot though. Like I can tell how you would. It's mentioned a lot, but it's not like a person is the wolf.
Oh, okay.
That makes sense.
Because when she just okay, so the lion is the guy.
The lion is the guy that is her academic advisor. That we learn there was some sort of relationship they started building, and then all of a sudden he pulled back, and she doesn't understand kind of what happened.
Yeah, but because he's an academic advisor and he's not supposed to sleep with the freaking students.
Yes, and so we won't get really like what happened with them until way later on.
Yeah.
And then we also get to meet Jonah.
I know, which bothered the fuck out of
me. Jonah is a poetry student,
which I wish there were like, okay, so he's like kind of bothers me though, because like you don't know, like the relationship with the two of them is strange. Like he obviously cares for her.
I think
but
totally
she obviously
he wanted to date her.
Didn't like grasp it.
Yeah, she was totally just like, I don't know why you're talking to me.
Like, like this guy. Jonah. Here's Jonah.
And
I want the lion. Here's Jonah.
I want the lion. Here's Jonah. Jonah had a drug problem and he's clean now.
So like, no disrespect to anybody, but have you ever noticed that like the cliche is that like they're always like, oh, you know, he had this problem and he's so sensitive. Mm-hmm. But it's like, come on, man. Like some people write poetry that aren't like.
Jonah's interesting though, because they're like, how was your summer? And she's like, it was fine. Like, why are you talking to me? And he ends up he talks about this poem he's writing about Alaska that's a long poem, but he's terrified because he doesn't know when it's going to end because it just keeps going. He's like, it's this long poem and I don't know when it's going to stop, and I'm actually genuinely concerned about the fact that I can't stop writing this poem.
Yeah.
And she's like, okay, whatever. And
yeah, like she's just like, all right, Jonah, stop talking to me.
And she writes pretty dark stuff.
Yeah.
Like
but like since she was a child,
like her teachers would be like, there's something wrong with your kid. And so we know that she lived with her mom. She grew up with her mom until her mom died in a car crash, and then she ended up with her dad, and her dad was like this nomad who had all these like big ideas of what he was gonna do, and so he ended up having this like mountain spa thing that he was gonna do, and then he finally got investors to invest in it, and so for a while they actually lived like they were rich.
Yeah.
And she lived like all over the world. She never really settled anywhere because her dad was like constantly like seeking out the next thing that they were gonna make money on.
Yeah.
And stuff. And then she genuinely lived in poverty after that because he blew all his money and stuff. She ended up getting a scholarship to go to Warren, and she was like, okay, I guess like I have to take this opportunity, right? And so, or like a grant to go. She gets paid to be there. And I think the lion is the one that picked her up to be a part of Warren's class.
Jonah also gets money to be there.
Yes, I think they all get a stipend. The bunnies are all rich.
Yeah. Because I was like because it seems like he's the only one that's like standing there next to her going, oh yeah, we got paid today.
Yeah. The bunnies, they're at the social, and the bunnies all turn at the same time and they wave at her. And she's like, looks at them for a second and she's like, okay. And then she's like, for some reason, I'm waving back. And she can't figure out.
But she was like
what's going on.
ecstatically waving, right? She was like,
she's like, for some reason, my arm's high above my head and I'm waving. And
Yeah.
Ava's looking at her like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, no, I love
Like-
it. Because she's just like, hi, yeah, you're waving at me.
And she's like, the bunnies don't interact with me. It's like, we're in workshop. The bunnies are on the opposite side. I'm on one side. And every time I say something, they're like, oh, it's really harsh. I don't know how I feel about it. Like, they're like,
Yeah.
it was really dark. And I think maybe it's not how I would have written that, like they're all, but then every time they share, they're like, oh, bunny, you just embrace the body so well. Oh, bunny. Like it's so
bunny.
Oh, bunny. It's stuck in my brain. And anyone who's listening to this podcast will be stuck in yours now. They're at this social. They wave to each other, and then Ava's like, "Let's get out of here. Like, this is weird." And I can totally picture, like, when I was in undergrad, they had like College of Science socials and stuff, and you were like very much encouraged. You should go to these things because it'll help you with whatever. And I remember showing up to those two and being like, "Why the fuck am I here?" So like, I totally could relate in that moment of like, okay, I don't know why I'm here. But they go home. It turned out that Ava had kind of discovered her one day sitting on a bench because she would like wander around Warren and the place all by herself, and she would go to the park and she would watch the swan in the pond. And one day the swan wasn't there and Ava was sitting next to her, and that's how they became friends. Ava ended up seeing where Samantha was living and was like, "You're not living here anymore. You're going to come live with me."
Yeah.
So then she kind of like moved in with her. And then they would do things like they took a tango class together, and they made up this character that they would dance with, and then each one of them would be the lead, going off of each other. They did that together. There were multiple times where they talked about how like they would be sitting on the roof, and then it would start raining, and then Samantha would be like, "We should go inside," and she's like, "No, I love this," and then Ava would just go like walk in the rain and come back just completely drenched. Like she did like some weird.
I mean,
the
whole thing was weird though. Like you're just like literally like, what is happening?
She ends up getting a letter from the bunnies in her mailbox, and it says, "You're invited to Smut Salon." And she's like,
"This is when I was like, what the hell am I reading?"
we were at work and we were like, "Smut Salon." I was like, just keep listening. It gets weirder. And so she's like, "I've never really been acknowledged by these people before. Other than like being in class and we're classmates, this is strange, but also like I kind of like the fact that I'm being included."
Yeah, didn't like Cupcake write this? Like, isn't it like some
Cupcake
like
wrote it.
pretty
There's like a bunny on it and hearts drawn all
yeah,
over
like
it
she's
and,
like all the
glitter
cute
and,
like
yeah. And so but she gets like text messages from these unknown numbers. Like, "Are you coming tonight?" And it's like ghost face, hearts, like all there's like emojis after all of them.
yeah.
She's like, "Oh, okay." And then that's when Jonah comes up because she had been looking for her stipend check. And Jonah's like, "Did you get your stipend check?" And she's like, "No." And then he's kind of looking at her like, "Oh," like, and he's trying to make conversation with her, and she's still staring at this invite like, what the fuck am I going to do with this? And then he's like, "Okay, it was nice talking to you, Samantha."
I know, like I think he truly was like, "Hey, girl, like
I think he
like,
totally was
you had to
into
pull
her.
your fucking hair to get you to realize I like you." Like,
Out of everybody who was in this story, I think the one real person was Jonah.
I think so too.
In all reality, I think out of everything that was going on, the one person that actually remained true and was actively trying to engage with her was Jonah, and that was the only one that she kept tossing away every time.
I know, poor guy.
I know.
He was like friend zoned immediately.
So she ends up going to Smut Salon, and it's just bizarre. So she shows up and she's like, "I don't know if I should go." She first knocks on the door. She's standing there for quite a while, and she sees all four of them from upstairs just looking outside.
I do think that these four are real.
I think they're real too, but I mean, like, in terms of just being like a down to earth person, I think Jonah's the only one that was like,
Gotcha.
not
I
totally.
got you. Like, so, like, okay, I got you.
Yeah. She shows up and it's at the Duchess's place. They're like, "Welcome to Smut Salon," and they have like these weird.
I don't know why this like
they're
really
like, "We
was
made
like.
you this drink," and she tastes it. She's like, "It's horrible. It's like."
Wasn't it like
green.
created for her?
Yeah. They were like, "It's for you," and it was like a weird colored green, and she's like, "It tastes like really sweet and also just like bitter at the same time."
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what this is. And then they're all like, "Welcome to Smut Salon, where we talk about things that are erotic to us," or whatever. And then like one of them does like a Red Riding, I think it's Cupcake, does like a Red Riding Hood retelling, and they're like, "That was so erotic, bunny." And oh no, Cupcake does the peeling of the cinnamon.
Yeah.
She does the peeling of the cinnamon. And then like Vignette or Creepy Doll does the Red Riding Hood one, and then and that's like her thing is that she retells fairy tales all the time is like her like derivative thing that they'll end up at the end calling her out for. And the Duchess reads her like Glass Pane and stuff like that, and they're all like snacking on these little like cupcakes and stuff, and they have that little like pony, the glitter pony or whatever that's like in the middle. It's such a bizarre like,
it was too like
dream.
Yeah.
It's a fever dream. And she's just getting more drunk, and she's like, yeah, like this is great. I'm really enjoying this. This is great. And she's like convincing herself that she's enjoying it the whole time. And then she gets super drunk. And then is that the time they tell her to go catch a bunny?
I don't know.
I think they end the night. She's in the Red Riding Hood cloak, and they're like, "Go catch a bunny for us." And
the
she
bunny
like walks
thing
outside.
like threw me off. I still don't understand the whole bunny thing.
No,
I was
so,
like, the bunny. What happened with the bunny?
And so that's her interaction with Smut Salon. She gets that happens, and they're like.
Yeah, but
She's
their
like,
like
"Did I catch a
erotic
bunny?"
was like really weird. It was like not.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
It wasn't hot.
No,
None of it was
was
actually
like,
erotic.
It was creepy. You were just kind of like, what is happening? Like,
Yeah. Okay. No, I totally missed this. So they're like, tell us something erotic.
yes.
And she's like, so she like embellishes the story about this guy she was into in high school when she was in this play, and they would die together at the end. She's like, the most erotic time was when we would die together.
Yes.
And then we would either be feet apart or we'd be inches apart. And then she embellishes the story that he ended up kissing her and they slept together, I think. And then she went to prom, and what was his name?
Doesn't he show up
Rob
later in the book?
Valencia. Rob Valencia. She was in love with Rob Valencia, and he ended up going to prom with somebody else. And she
Yes.
was like so heartbroken. And she had brought this dress at Goodwill that was like a fire-breathing dragon that she was like so in love with. And then she got to the dance, and she was like horrified about what she was wearing and like super self-conscious. And she saw him dancing with someone else, and she was like heartbroken. That was the bunny's like, oh my gosh, I Rob Valencia, but that was so erotic. That was so erotic, bunny. And she's so drunk at the end of this, and then she ends up catching the bunny, or she's like, I have a bunny in my lap, and then she sees a stag walk by, and that's all she stares at because she's like, I don't see any bunnies, and she's like wandering around the yard, and they're like, just go outside and catch a bunny. And she's like, you want me to go outside at night by myself? Like, that's what you want to do? And they're like, we'll be here, don't worry. And so they're like watching and stuff, and she does catch the bunny, and then she like passes out, and she wakes up at Cupcake's house, I think, and they're like, here's some pills to make you feel better. And so she like takes the pills, and that's when she starts she's out of it. She is high.
Yeah.
She's like, whatever. I think she still sees Ava at this point. And Ava's like, what are you doing? This is weird. And then a bunch of stuff transpires. They have more workshop time, and the bunnies have her sit with them, and she's wearing like these red heart glasses that they put on, so everything's stained pink, and she's just high on whatever. She's like, they look like Tic Tacs, and I just took them. And she's like floating out of her body.
Yeah.
And then they take her back. They're like, they have her come over for prom night, and they don't tell her it's prom night. They're like, bunny, we are going to get you dressed up. Don't you worry. And so then because they're all dressed for like a dance, and she sees all these guys there. They're in blue tuxedos, and they all have leather gloves on. They take her upstairs. They like plait her hair, so it's like super tight braids and everything. And they put her in this like dress that she doesn't wear dresses. It's not what she did, like usually wears. She usually has her like bitch curtain down, is what Ava had her grow out her bangs so she can have her bitch curtain. And everything's plated back so she can see her face, and she looks like a totally different person. They smear glitter all over her, and she goes downstairs, and they're like, we have a surprise for you.
Yeah,
Stay
this
here.
is when he like.
Yeah, and
oh
so
God.
then the guys they all have weird names. They're like Odysseus and like strange like literature names basically, and they all like speak French, and they all have all these things going on. And they all just keep asking about her, and then she tries to like ask them about them, and they just kind of freeze and like stare at her. She's like, this is really weird. And then there's a knock at the door, and like they're all, one of them's like covered in blood, and like they're all like look crazy and like flushed and everything. And the Duchess is like, you should go open the door. And she's like, because they're knocking, and she's like,
just creepy. You should go open the door. Go open the door.
She's like, okay. So she starts. She goes and opens the door with the Duchess, I think, and that's when Rob Valencia is there, and he's like, Samantha, I have not been able to stop thinking about you. And they're like, yeah, we checked online, and he couldn't stop thinking about you, bunny. And then they start like dancing, and he starts eating her orchid corsage. She's like, what the fuck is going on? That's when like she asks him something, and he just starts screaming, and his head explodes.
Yeah, this This is the part where I was just literally just sitting there confused out of my fucking mind. I was like, I don't understand what is happening, because this is when I was confused, because I was like, okay, is he real? Like,
Yeah.
and then I was like, what is happening, and but there's multiple people in the room because all the bunnies are there, which are real people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can't, they have to be some, like, even if she was imagining this, they still have to be real.
Yeah.
Like, so was she on drugs? Like, I could not put this together the whole time. I was like, you don't fucking understand what the hell I'm reading.
I
like,
don't either.
The whole time I was reading it, I was just like,
To be quite honest, I read this book twice and I still don't know what happened.
Okay, so my thought process is, okay, so I truly was like schizophrenia. 100% was like schizophrenia.
Uh-huh.
But then my other thought was, is maybe the drugs they were giving her. So, like, they're also on the drugs. So they're all just at this party on drugs.
Yeah.
And so, like, maybe he really was there, but his head didn't explode. Like, but that's just what her brain was like. All right, stoned out of my mind.
I don't know. But yeah, she's just like, there's this blood everywhere. There's blood everywhere. And then the next day she wakes up at the house and they're like, and she walks downstairs and everything's cleaned up. And she's like, am I crazy? And they're like, we don't know what you saw, Bunny. Or
yeah, that's what I mean.
Bunny.
Like acid, you just drop an acid.
Yeah, like it's crazy. And that's when they really take her under their wing.
I mean,
like
shrooms. I'm
she's
like,
just
there's like lots of psychedelics I could do. I did not condone, nor have I ever done, in case my boss ever watches this. I just realized that. I was like, no.
We don't. You can know that psychedelics
I know, I
exist
just
and
worried.
not have done
I
them.
did not do it. Bill Clinton.
You say Bill Clinton,
I know.
then you know the connotation.
Get that shit. I just couldn't resist, because after I said it, I was like, you know, like how Bill Clinton is like, I did not
Out
have
of sexual relations with that woman.
It was literally like, I've never done psychedelics. It was just my brain thought. I was like, okay.
Anyways, yeah, I don't fully know. The problem is she's an unreliable narrator, so I don't know what fully was real and what wasn't. There's a lot of things that indicate that obviously she had a very big imagination.
Yes.
Her mom, she mentions, kept telling her, like, you need to get your head out of the clouds. You need to come back down.
Agree.
So it's hard to tell if this was her, like, her final thesis from Warren, and she just, like, you know, horrorized everything.
Yeah.
Or this is actually what happened, and we're just in, like, a world where this exists, right? So it's really difficult to know because she doesn't know what's going on the whole time.
Yeah. No, I thought about this. I was wondering if we read like the second book, if we would get like actual clarification, but I feel like it would just be the same shit, just worse. Like you're even more confused. You're walking out like, what the fuck? Like it got even worse. How could it get worse?
Yeah, because the second book supposedly is after everything happened, the bunnies kidnap her and the bunnies tell their side of the story.
Yeah, see.
So I don't know if that would make it better or worse.
I don't know. Because I wanted to read it. I almost read it, but then I was worried that we were going to do the podcast. I didn't want to read it and then like have
I haven't read it
I didn't
either.
want to like have any mixed story.
Yeah.
So I did it. But I wanted to read it to be like, did we get clarification? Like, like, I don't know. Because is the bunnies like four girls that are like, oh my God, like she's crazy. I don't know. I'm just worried that like.
Yeah, and then we get to see them in workshop again, and the bunnies now are like, she's like, I didn't do the reading, and she's like, don't worry, bunny, none of us do the reading, and we'll just back you up if they get called on. And she's like, okay, and she's again heart glasses, totally like not in
the
any
heart
realm.
glasses is what like is like I'm just like drugs, man, like just drugs.
Everything's got a pink tinge to it. Her hair's still plaited. She's wearing a dress that's got like kittens on it or something like that. Or
and then like Ava's like, what the hell is wrong with you?
Oh my God, wasn't the dress she wore for prom like decapitated? It was like Marie Antoinette's all over it. It was like decapitated girls all over it. There's some weird things on their dresses at all times. Like it's so strange. But she goes to class and she's just kind of like, they're all sitting next to her now. And then like Ursula or Care calls on them. And they're like, oh, blah, 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 blah. And they like cover up for her and stuff. And she's just, again, floating in this haze. Like, I don't know what's going on. She ends up kind of getting involved in the bunnies like this. And then Ava tries to knock her out of it.
Yeah.
But she isn't able to do it. And then she gets more involved where they show her the experiments they've been doing where they get a bunny. And they turn it into guys. They're hybrids or they're darlings. Cupcake at one point calls them the boys, and the Duchess is like, absolutely not. They are not boys. They are hybrids. They are whatever, because they're not real boys. But they're trying to make like the perfect guy, basically. And
Okay.
the thing that they keep screwing up though is hands are really hard. Their facial features tend to get a little twisted. And then they cannot get working genitals because their goal is to have a guy they can fuck at the end of it. That's like their ultimate goal.
So creepy.
And they're like basing them off like Marlon Brando and like all of these like classic Hollywood dudes that
Yeah. For some reason I was thinking that like doesn't she like talk to them and Jonah's like, why are you talking to these bunnies?
Yes. She's like sitting on the lawn talking to the bunnies and she's like, why are you all here? Why do you keep showing up? Because when she ends up back at her apartment, she's at the old apartment, not the apartment she shares with Ava. There's a bunny sitting on her windowsill and it just stays there all the time. It like never leaves. And she starts seeing bunnies everywhere after the first like rounds of experiments and stuff that they do with her. Or even, I think it's the first after prom, like after the first time she is told to catch a bunny.
Yeah.
After the first smut salon is when she starts seeing all the bunnies all over Warren. And Jonah's like, why are you talking to them?
Yeah. Because he's
and
just
then she's like, oh, I was just talking to him. He's like, oh, you talking about anything good? Like sometimes I talk to myself, like it's fine. But Jonah's the most understanding person.
right?
He's
Just like, I'm poetic. I've done drugs.
He's
It's
like,
fine.
I've been through a lot of my life. I understand if you got something you got to handle. Like, I don't know. And so she's spiraling. Like she has no idea what's going on. And she's slowly spiraling. And then they're like, okay, bunny, we think you're ready. And so they have her sit in and she's just sitting there like laughing the whole time that they're watching this bunny like explode and turn into this thing. And then there's a knock at the door and one of them has to, I think they're like, Cupcake, go answer the door. She's like, why don't I always have to be the one to answer the door? And then like one of them has an axe, like it's Vignette or something like that, has the axe with her. And she's like, totally they gave her Tic Tacs again before it. And she's just totally like, I'm floating above my body. I don't know what's going on. Everything's glittery and there's fluffy clouds and unicorns and a bunny and it's exploding and I don't know what's happening. And then in walks the hybrid and it just starts screaming and it won't stop screaming. And they're like, they're like, it happened again. And so then one of them like takes him into the bathroom to kill it with the axe. And then she walks out and she's all bloody and she's like, I think I messed up. And they're like, what do you mean you messed up? And then it's like a bunny again, almost. It's like more furry and everything. Comes running out and it's got the axe in its back. And it's just like, what the fuck? And she's sitting there like, I'm so high. I don't know what's happening right now. And she's like freaking out. And all she can do internally, she's like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And then externally, she's like, ha 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 ha. And they're like, bunny, stop it. And they're like slapping her to get her to stop laughing. It's just like, it's so strange. And that's our first bunny hybrid moment we get to see.
The more like we talk about this book, the more I'm like, oh my God, like did I miss that like this is like really happening? Like that she's like got like that this is like they're actually murdering people. Like she's just picturing it as like,
well, that's
like
the question.
I didn't catch this like during it. I'm thinking like schizophrenia, like she's just seeing all these crazy things. Like, oh my God, she's on drugs. But now I'm like, did this shit happen and she's just like hardcore like?
Well, and the question is because this town is known for all these people dying.
I didn't
So
think
like,
about it.
wait,
Like while you're saying it, I was like, wait a minute, because I just thought like because the way that ends, you're just like, okay, she's got problems, right?
Yeah.
But then I was like, as you're telling this part of the story, I'm like, wait, did I miss this? Like, I mean, I read it, but like the whole time you're reading it, you're thinking, okay, something is wrong with her. She has like schizophrenia. She's on drugs. Something is wrong with her.
Yeah.
But now that you're telling the story, I'm like, fuck, was like nothing wrong with her, and she's just like,
I have no idea. That's the problem. As I really cannot tell.
no, I know, but I'm like,
I almost want to believe that this is like her final thesis at Warren. But the fact that there's a second story from the bunny's POV, again, I haven't read it, so I don't know what it would indicate.
Like it'd be interesting.
It makes me just go, wait, how much was it real then? I don't know. So it's so
because if it's the bunny's POV, like how scary would it be that like they're like none of this happened, this crazy broad, like you know what I mean? Like
yeah. See, now we're gonna have to read the
we're
second
gonna have to read the second one. My other thought too was okay. So while I was reading this, I thought the reason why she didn't like Jonah was because she was gay. I thought she was. I thought she was into Ava and like completely like
she totally was in love with Ava,
but like not in that best friend way. Like truly, like this is like my.
Yeah.
And then I wasn't sure if that's why she was like, oh my God, the bunnies like brought me in because like I love women and like oh my God, like so
yeah.
But there's like so many guys in the story that I'm like, oh, I don't know, like what she did or didn't like.
Yeah, I couldn't really tell. I thought she had I thought she was attracted to Ava, though. I felt like there was more to them
Their
being together. And then especially because she was really upset when Max ends up coming into the picture.
Yeah.
More than just like, I mean, and it has to do with the fact that she has no idea if Max is real or not, too. But with the first bunny experiment, we see her really like fall down the drain pipe at this point.
Right?
She's
the cult becomes like culty. Like
she's fully in the cult, and this is, I have to give props to this author, because when she ends up in part 2 is when she's fully enveloped and she starts speaking in we did this and we saw this and we did this for Bunny and we did and because she is just fully enveloped in the bunny cult.
Crazy, dude.
We lay in the grass together in our afternoon hugs. We nuzzle our noses together and we do this and we do that, and it's so fascinating how that author just switches it, and that it really, really interesting like technique on how to do that. It's fantastic. And so they're walking down to Pinkberry. They go to Pinkberry a lot. They're really like cupcakes, roses, sunshine, like is kind of like their thing, even though they're doing all these horrifying things
like,
behind the scenes.
Super like,
yeah. And so she's been gone for like 2 months. She's enveloped into this cult. And they're walking, and then a hand comes out of an alley and pulls her back, and it's a mesh gloved hand. And she's like, Smacky, what the fuck is going on? And she's like, where's Bunny? Where's Bunny? Where's Bunny? And then the other ones are like, Bunny, where are you? Where'd you go, Bunny? And they're all looking for her. And then she's like, don't you say a fucking word. And she's like, got her hand over her mouth. She's like, I want to scream, we want to scream to get the bunny's attention. And then the other bunny's like, oh, well, I guess she'll just meet up with us later. Like, I don't know where she is.
The whole thing was just so like, we don't even give a shit. They're like, well, she'll just come back.
I know, especially walking around this town that they know nobody, like, it's not safe. And they're just like, oh, she'll find us, whatever. Like, and that's when Ava's like, you are in a cult. What is wrong with you? And she ends up taking her to the diner that they usually used to eat at. And they're talking in that. That's how we exit that That's Ava pulls her out of that cult mindset. And she starts saying I partway through like a paragraph where she's like, oh, wait. Oh, God. I am a person. I'm not a bunny. I'm not a part of this. And then while they're at the diner, the bunnies come in and they find them. And they're like, Bunny, there you are. And she's like, remember, you are you. You're you. It's kind of Ava's trying to remind her. And she even feels herself like pulling back. Like, there we are. There's Bunny. That's who I'm supposed to talk to. And so she is in this weird thing where she gets sucked out of the cult mindset, but she still feels like she's a part of it. So she just like gets pulled into it over and over again. She keeps going over to the Duchess's house or the Cupcake's house, and they keep doing the bunny experiments until one day they're like, and she's still kind of getting herself to like trying to extricate herself as well. She ends up going to, she's been living at her old apartment this whole time. And then I think they call her in to do her experiment. They're like, you're finally ready. And I can't remember if this is after or before break. No, it's after break. So they go on like spring break or whatever, or winter break. And all the bunnies are posting about how they're doing all these amazing things. And they're writing and they're doing all this stuff. And a key line that Samantha has to deal with is that she's blocked.
Yeah.
For all of this.
Yeah.
And we kind of get more notes of she was doing fine, and then something happened and with the lion where she was going out for drinks with him, and they were having late night talks, and they were sitting in his office by themselves, and he was inviting her out to dinner and all these kinds of things that were blurring the line between an academic advisor and a student. There's multiple times where she's like, I could tell they think I fucked him, but I never fucked him. I never fucked him. That's not what happened.
I remember reading that thinking like, God, like, dude, like, calm down. Like, it's okay. Like, you don't have to. Like,
but Samantha's very attuned to what she thinks everyone thinks of her. Like, she has a lot of like social anxiety, almost
like a lot
of like, oh, and she's very demeaning to herself, where she's like, oh, no one wants to be your friend. You're just a terrible person. You write these awful things, and everyone thinks you're terrible and weird, and no one wants to be your friend. And even the lion left. Like it's she's got.
I'm thinking
all these
that has
things
to do with like something that happened in, like her childhood. Like there's like
she's pretty much abandoned by everybody, right? Because her father was not present. He was just floating around doing whatever he wanted. And then her mom dying, which also was weird that her mom was like hallucinated back in. So it was like hard to tell if her mom actually died or if she was just telling people her mom died in a car crash. But she grew up with her dad.
Because like because it kind of like her mom was like a hairdresser or something, and she was sitting there like. So I was confused. I'm telling you, like the whole story, I was like, is this real or is this fake?
The
Like,
whole
what
thing
hell?
is it's so well written that you cannot tell what's real and what's not.
That's true.
And so she ends up kind of starting to extricate herself again. They have the winter break thing happen, and she gets like really feverish, and she's like, no one's here. I can't even get up to get water. I don't have any cold meds or anything like that. I'm gonna just die with this fever. Ava's not around, because this is when Ava left to go. She said she was gonna go to Paris.
Yeah, didn't Jonah start driving her around because she tried to catch her?
Yes, she was looking
like
for
freaking
her.
out.
Yeah, she was like, oh, where are you going? And the lion had pulled her in for a meeting and said, like, how's your writing going? We need to talk about this stuff. And was like very annoyed. Like, I'm not the one who's supposed to make these meetings. You are, because I'm here to help you, guide you, but you need to get your thesis written.
Yeah, and then also wasn't she like, she wasn't writing it, right? Wasn't that like what he was upset about? Like,
yeah, she's like, oh, it's coming along. And he's like, I know it's not. Also, side note, he had a mild Scottish accent, but I couldn't. The audiobook was not.
No.
It was not a Scottish accent. I'm sorry. She tried very hard, but I was just like, that's not Scottish. Side note on that is I would get distracted every time he talked. So I was like, what is that? Not that I can do a Scottish accent, but anyways, he was like, Samantha, like you need to write. You can talk to me, you know? And she's like, can I talk to you? Like, really?
Yeah, that one kind of weirded me out because I was like, oh my God, if they had like any kind of relationship, like maybe that's why she's avoiding him.
Mm-hmm.
But then maybe it was on her head because she's...
Right? It's, oh my God. So yeah, so she's like, I need to find Ava. I have to find Ava because she had told her in the alley that she was going to Paris and she was leaving. Domingo or whatever his name was going to is it Domingo? Or am I just thinking of the Domingo SNL skit?
I don't know.
It was something like that was going, that was like their made up boyfriend guy that they did all their dancing with and stuff. It's probably not Domingo. It's probably something. Diego! It was Diego.
I was like...
It was Diego, not Domingo. I literally, when I was listening to this book and I heard Diego, I was like, I 100% am going to end up saying Domingo on the fucking podcast because all I can think of when they said Diego was the...
It's me, Domingo.
Domingo.
In Chelsea. Yeah.
Hey, come on this way. Dear from Domingo.
Was trying so hard not to do it.
I just had to. So anyways, his name is Diego, not Domingo. So she's like, Diego's taking me to Paris. She has this like big, almost like townhouse that she kind of lives in, that Ava lives in, that she'd been living with Ava in after she saw kind of the squalor she was in. And everything Ava has been like stolen. And like,
because Ava's not
like,
real. Like, I don't know.
Well,
like,
exactly.
the whole story is just way too, like...
Like, Ava keeps talking about, or she keeps talking about, oh, yeah, Ava found this thing in the trash, or Ava found whatever, and all of her dresses she, like, found somewhere. And, like, when Samantha's in her apartment by herself, that's where she's, like, fully isolated, right? So the bunnies are gone for break. They all went off to their rich families to do whatever for break because they have families. She has nowhere to go. She lied to the lion and said that she was catching a plane because he was like, are you going anywhere? Like, are you doing anything for break? And she's like, yeah, I'm catching a plane right now. Like, whatever. And then Jonah's like, I'll be here for break if you need anything. And she's like, that's fine. I won't call you. Poor Jonah. He drives her around for literal like hours through the snow. Yeah. Trying to find us. And then she's like, wait, stop. And she like runs up to this person and it's not Ava. And he's like, okay, well, I hope you find your book you're looking for.
I don't know why I thought it was wallet. I knew because she like lost something and he was like just so hard. Like,
yeah. So
he like loved her, like truly.
Totally
like guys don't do shit like that unless they're like, that's my girl.
And then she ends up getting invited to Care's Thanksgiving dinner. I'm just calling her Care because I don't remember Vasco or whatever they called her.
I don't remember her name. Care is how I remember her name.
Her real name's Ursula. But Ursula and her husband and then her daughter, who's just like so annoyed that anybody got invited to this like Thanksgiving dinner. And it's just, she's like, oh yeah, I'm having a bunch of students over that don't have anywhere to go for break. And so she's like, okay. So she shows up and a bunch of students means her and Jonah. And that's it. And Jonah's like, hey, I'm glad you're here. Like, this is going to be fun. And then she ends up like dipping out pretty quick. Like she's there for a while.
Which sucks because like, I don't know. Poor Jonah's like, I love you. Love me back, damn it.
And that's when Ursula's like, how's everyone's writing going? And that's when Jonah's like, oh, I'm writing that poem about Alaska. And it's a long poem. She's like, oh, that's great. He's like, I don't know if it is because I literally can't stop writing it. And she's like, okay.
I don't know. I think it would be kind of interesting. I wish like the author would have been like, here's the poem from Alaska.
Here's the long poem about Alaska. I just like, I don't think he'd ever been to Alaska, right?
That was what was weird about them. Like, how could you just keep writing something like?
Yeah, he just kept going and going and going.
He just like got not an encyclopedia, a map, and was just like, it has snow.
He's like, I've always wanted to go to Alaska, so I'm writing a long poem about it. Yeah,
it has mountains.
Yeah, there's snow and mountains.
And meese.
And meese?
I don't know if it's mooses. Meese? Moose?
Moose? I think it's just moose.
I know, but I was thinking, like, how does the plural of moose? Meese. Because there's geese and meese. I don't know. It popped in my head, and I was like, meese. I know it's moose. I just want to make sure it's clear. Just thought it was funny.
Oh, my God.
Geese and meese.
And she ends up dipping out, and she's like, this is freaking me out. I can't do this anymore. And then everybody comes back. And she's again, that's when the bunnies were like, we think you're ready
oh my God.
to leave.
You're ready.
So
you're
she's
ready,
like,
bunny.
And they're like, we picked out the perfect one for you. And she's like,
the creepy
staring
part
at the bunny.
is
Like,
you sound like the audiobook. It's so creepy. We picked out the perfect one for
bunny.
you, bunny. Bunny, just relax. Put on these glasses, bunny.
it's okay, bunny. Just look at this.
Oh my God.
I have a career in audiobooks, but only specifically for this.
Only for bunny.
Only for hi, bunny. Hi, bunny. And so she's like trying to make the bunny, and it's just not working. They're like, it's okay, bunny. Sometimes it just doesn't work out. And they're like kind of demeaning about it. And then she's like, this sucks that I'm not able to do like the one thing they wanted. The bunny ends up escaping. And they're like, well, the bunnies don't usually escape, but it's fine. And they're like, oh, it happens. Not to any of us, but it happens sometimes, I guess. And like, she's like, they're so shitty to her.
They really are. But you know, when you get the mean girls, like sometimes like that's just how they are. They're just little shitty assholes.
Mean.
I mean, I wasn't a mean girl. I don't know. I'm just assuming.
Yeah, I wasn't either. I like ate in a teacher's classroom for lunch. I was not.
It was the same way.
I was like, I got along with people, but I wasn't friends with them. Like I had a couple really good friends, and I could get along with other people. They tolerated my existence by being around them. I didn't like get bullied by them, but I also was like not their best friends or anything like that.
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah, I was like, I'm in the orbit, but I'm not around. Like I'm not like on the planet
remembered
itself.
Me. Like people still hit me up on like Facebook and like, we remember me, and I'd be like,
Yeah.
no. They'll be like, I remember you, and I'd be like, I don't what? Like
I've ran into people at the hospital that like I knew. Or like peripherally knew, like I didn't know them as people, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you played volleyball and did all this stuff," and I'm like, I forgot that like people knew who I was, but I just didn't like. I recognize them, but like I'm always like, I assume people don't recognize me. So then when they recognize me, I'm like, "Oh hi, I'm sorry, I was like ignoring your existence. I wasn't. I was just trying not to like act like I knew you, and you probably didn't know me."
Yeah, no, I remember years later after high school, ran into like a girl that was like the popular girl.
Yeah,
and she was like, no, you were so popular. What are you talking about? Everybody knew who you were. And I was like, well, with my name. Like, she's like, no. They like, everybody knew you. So I don't know. Like, it's weird. Like,
I think
the shit that you like, I was like, this shit. So that's what's weird about this book is it's like college and you're like, what the fuck? Like, this is a high school, but like, no, it's not. Like,
and it's all her perceptions of herself.
So it's so creepy.
And that she kind of projects onto other people as well. So it's
real. Like, you just don't know where you're coming or going.
This whole book's
and the whole time you're just like, what the fuck is happening? Like the whole time I was reading this book, I just kept staring at you going, what did she put me into?
I was doing my best to every time you mentioned something in work not go, oh bunny.
I would have cried.
It wasn't until I started reading the audiobook that I was like, oh my God, like she did such a good job with this audiobook. It's so creepy.
It's creepy.
The bunny escapes and then they're all just standing out in the yard and then they see a guy who's like really handsome, not wearing leather gloves, who's smoking at a bus stop, and they're all like, oh my God, is that her bunny? And so they all walk up to him and they're like, have you seen a bunny? And he's like, yeah, it just ran out in the road and got killed. And they're like, okay. And they're kind of like staring at him.
It's so creepy.
And so they're like, and they're kind of asking him questions and he's like not really giving answers.
Yeah, because it's creepy.
It's creepy. And then they're like, what are you doing? He's like waiting for the bus. And they're like, the bus does stop going like a long time ago. And then all of a sudden the bus appears and then they're like, he's like, okay. And then he like gets on the bus and they're like, that was a bunny guy, wasn't it? Like that was a hybrid. Did she just make the hybrid? So there's like no understanding of like who he actually is. And he will come back when she ends up on the bus and he's there.
Yeah, I was trying to figure this out. How did she end up on the bus? Because I didn't understand the bus, because like you said, I thought the bus didn't run. But then he's like behind her on the bus, and I was like, how did we get on the bus?
I don't remember.
Like, what the fuck is this? Like, I remember hearing this going, okay, how the fuck did we get on the bus? And what? And like, then that's where I think he's the wolf, is on the bus.
Oh yeah, maybe he was wolf. I don't remember.
Because she's like, and then the wolf was like, and then he was like behind me. And he was whispering in my ear some shit. Yeah. And I was like, what the fuck? And who is this? And how did he get on the bus? He's like, how did you get on the bus?
He's like flirting with her the whole time. And then he just like smiles at her, leans forward, and like takes some glitter off her cheek and puts it on his. And she's like, I still had glitter on my cheek. And I'm just like, what is going on?
Yeah, like a stranger's touching you and you're okay with it. I remember reading this thinking like, what the fuck? Like, and okay, first of all, you're on a bus. Somebody fucking touches you, you're gonna be like, karate chop! Like, you're not gonna be like, oh my god, he touched me.
In this town where people are decapitated and assaulted all the time, we're just like, this random dude that might be a bunny that I made into a hybrid dude.
Yeah, and then she's like, she calls him like the wolf or something, and he's like doing something like real like stealthy. Maybe that's why he's like the wolf, because he's stealthy.
It's so weird.
And then when she like, he gets off or she gets off?
He gets off, she follows him.
Okay, I was like something.
And she follows him, and he just is like humming to himself and like collecting flowers along the way, and like random like pointy sticks and like things like that to make like a weird bouquet. And he just keeps looking back, seeing that she's following her, and then he kept following him and just keeps walking, and then they end up outside of these abandoned houses, and she's like, where are we? Like, what is going on? And then he like turns and smiles at her and then like just disappears.
Yeah, like the whole thing just doesn't. I was so like, I wish I could tell you, but my brain, like, even while we're still talking about it, I'm like, nope, I don't remember like how like he got wherever. And then now I remember that I'm like, oh yeah, he did disappear. I don't know, the whole thing's just weird.
Yeah. And then this is when Ava comes back to town.
Yeah.
And Ava comes back to town, and she's at the apartment, and she's like, she's like, I don't really have a place for you to live now because I have an upstairs tenant. And she's like,
yeah, that just randomly shows up and knocks on the door.
Yeah.
And so she doesn't think that's weird.
No. So she's like, oh, she was sleeping on her couch, I think. And she's like, oh, that's just, there's stuff going on upstairs. And she's like, oh, well, that's just my upstairs tenant. I hope we weren't too loud. And she's like, what do you mean we weren't too loud? She's like, you know what I mean, smacky. And she's like, oh, okay. And so then he shows up, and he makes rabbit, like cooks rabbit, and they're like all drinking wine together and dancing and stuff. And he just like sits in the corner and like stares at them while they do stuff. And then he and Ava just like make out super hard, like her lipstick smearing all over both of their faces and stuff. And then he keeps talking about how he also goes to Warren. And she's like, where are you in Warren? Like,
yeah, I forgot about that. Cause he's like, but he doesn't actually go to the school. He's like
a performance artist.
Yeah. And like Ava's all like, yeah,
he's working on something.
Doesn't she like come up to her and she's like, hey, so you guys having sex?
Yeah, she was like, have you fucked him? And she was like, of course I fucked him.
Yeah, like what do you think? Like, we're like,
she was like so offended.
Yeah, but it was because it was like the way she asked him was like childish. It was like, did you sleep together?
Yeah.
Like, have you guys like slept together?
Yeah, it was just
off.
Yeah, and she's kind of feeling a bit replaced by Max, right? And she's like, also, not only do I feel replaced, but also, you might be a bunny I turned into a guy.
Right?
Like, what is going on? And so she's like trying to figure out how she warns her about this. And she's completely like removed herself out of bunny culture at this point, right? I'm pretty sure she's now living at that apartment with them. And
yes.
And Ava will be like, he'll be like, oh, I'm making dinner tonight. And she's like, can you buy it already dead?
Yeah, I forgot about that. And
he just like laughs it off. Like, oh, whatever. You're so funny. Like, she's removed from bunny culture. She ends up finding after a while, she's seeing this relationship like developing and stuff. And he had told her on the bus that he was high on love because he was in love with Ava. And eventually she's like, I need to figure out what's going on with this guy. So she sneaks into what used to be her room and is like looking at everything. And he finds this notebook that's full of Warren emails and their addresses or their passwords and stuff. And she's like, what? And it's like Ursula and all of the bunnies and Jonah and like and her, like all of their emails and passwords. And she's like, why does he have this information? This is so strange. And then he like sneaks up on her and is like, hey, how's it going?
I know,
and she gets invited to...
Doesn't actually explain why, right?
No. She gets invited to Ursula doing like a workshop that's like an emergency workshop.
Yeah.
And all of the bunnies walk in fucked up. Like Cupcake comes in and she takes off her cardigan and she's got "Eat Me" carved into her skin everywhere.
Okay. I didn't understand this. Like,
this was Max's performance piece.
okay.
So
okay. See, I didn't. Yeah. Okay. See,
Yeah.
I must have missed that because I didn't understand it, and I was like, oh, I'm hoping this will get explained because I was like, what is happening? Okay.
Mm-hmm. So this is Max's performance piece. So, and I can't remember if this is before or after she was sitting on the roof with Ava and told her that Max wasn't real, that he was a bunny, and that all of the experiments and stuff. Because
I think this is after
Yeah.
she's already done that.
I think it is.
Because Ava like gets all irritated with her, I think.
Mm-hmm. Ava kind of tells her off, but Ava ends up like breaking it off with Max after that. So she shows up to the workshop. She's got a white box, and she's got "Eat Me" carved all over her. Yeah. And then she tells her story, which is about like this guy and everything. And then Vignette has a vignette in her box. She's like, I can't remember which one, but one of them's like disheveled and like smells bad. Another one, I can't even remember. They all have something like really wrong with how they look and how they're acting and stuff. Oh, Cupcake's hair is purple now. Like, there's so many random things. But Cupcake opens her box and it's a cupcake. And she like slams the cupcake into her mouth as fast as possible. And then the next one goes, I think it's either Vignette or Creepy Doll starts talking. I think it's Creepy Doll. Starts talking, and then Cupcake runs out of the room crying because it's the same guy that they've been with, that she's telling the story with. And then she comes back, and they all start, when they give feedback, all the bunnies are really mean to each other. They're like, it was super derivative and horrible. I don't know why you would write that.
I know, it was like, weird because they're always like, oh my God, Bunny, that was amazing.
Yeah.
And then at this time, they're like angry about it. Like, it's like not a, and then isn't this when they like turn on her?
She doesn't have anything. So Cupcake gets a cupcake. Creepy Doll opens her white box and she's got a creepy doll. Yeah. And Vignette opens her box and she's got a vignette. And I don't think the Duchess opens a box that I know of or that I remember. I can't remember.
I don't remember her opening anything. But I also, like, this story confused the shit out of me. So, like, even when we're talking, I'm like, oh, okay, like, that's what that was. And that's, like, because I really didn't, like, the story was just so... It was well written.
Yeah.
I just didn't understand it well enough to be like, yeah, that's what happened.
Yeah. And then Ursula's like, oh, this is not how I thought this was going to go at all. And then workshop ends and she confronts Max and she's like, what did you do? He's like, did you like my piece? And she's like, you fucked all of them. Like, they had like bite marks on the inside of their thighs. Like, and he's like, I was just doing what I needed to. Like, he was a different person to each of them. He had a different name and he like seduced all of them. And like, she's like, I can picture him like sitting there smiling at Cupcake while she carves "Eat Me" into herself with a razor blade and like all this stuff. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah. We definitely have to read too.
I know.
The more we're talking about, the more I'm like, now I really need to know what happened.
I know.
Like,
I'm the same way. I'm like, I wasn't going to read 2 because it's not really my usual genre.
No, this is so creepy. Like, but now I'm like, shit. Now I want to know. Like,
now I'm totally.
I want to know if like, because I didn't think about it like that. Like him just watching her doing it. For some reason, I just didn't like. I didn't grasp it. I was like, what is happening and why is she doing that?
Yeah.
Like, but now I'm like, wait.
Well, because I think Samantha's like, did he do that to her or did he like sit there and like get her to do it?
Yeah, but that's just it. Like, they don't actually tell you what it is.
No.
And like, you're not sure. So now I'm like, well, what's their point of view? Like, what really happened?
Exactly.
Because like when you said it, I was like, no, because it never gets said. But now I'm like, wait, hold on. Yeah. Would be interesting to see. Like,
she ends up having like the flashback to what actually happened with the lion. So we learned that night that she'd gotten drunk at a party or whatever.
Yeah.
And he got drunk too, and he was driving her to his house, and the bunnies saw them. And so she was like,
this is when this is when she was like, they think I gave him head or something.
Yeah, she's like, they think we're fucking. And then he still takes her to his house, but he just like sits there and doesn't say anything to her.
Yeah.
And she just words vomit about her entire life, basically.
Is this when she tells the story about her mom?
Yeah, and she starts crying and stuff. And then he just like goes upstairs and she just walks home by herself.
The walk of shame. The walk of shame with no shame.
It was so strange. And that's basically when he kind of was like, I'm not doing this anymore. Like, other students are recognizing it. I'm not. That's kind of like the vibe is like he realized that other students were recognizing what he was doing, I think.
Yeah.
And he was super drunk and probably would have crossed that line. if they hadn't seen them, probably, is my guess.
Yeah, that was my guess too. But I also was thinking like it probably was something he did before. Like it wasn't like you just accidentally crossed the line this one time. Like
I don't think
I felt like it was very much like something he crossed the line all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
and it got noticed finally.
Yeah, like
yeah.
the one time you're like, oh, holy shit.
Yeah, that was the vibe I got from that too. And so we get that we get that back, and then she ends up having, I think she gets an email from the lion that's like, oh, we need to have a meeting in the cave. And she shows up and it's pitch black and there's no clock in the cave. That's like a big thing about it, is that they don't need to know the passage of time, because they're in their like little bubble when they're in
the whole
cave,
thing
right?
is just weird.
And on the whole book itself is like a kind of like tearing down of like the fine arts.
Yeah.
And how they have this like uppity, like, we're better than everyone else, let's talk about the body, and like all those kinds of things, and like elevating themselves above other people because they're in a literature thing and they know more than other people. And so it was interesting, because for a lot of these authors who do have like masters in fine arts or went to school for creative writing or whatever, and were taught kind of these like institutional things about how they're better or whatever else. It's the same kind of things with pharmacy that you'll see, or like medicine, where you'll have like, oh, well, you can do this and stuff, right? That you kind of have to take yourself out of when you actually go and enter the workplace. I think it's the same for like authors that went to school for this. Is like, okay, I'm not like this amazing person because I did all of this. Yes, it gave me the tools to be able to do my job, but that doesn't make me like better than everyone else, type of thing, right? And I think that's where especially like fiction and literature tends to kind of can hang out in. That's where like you have certain genres like romance that will get like talked down as like not good writing, because it's a different kind of genre where you have an expectation of what's going to happen in it. Those kinds of things that you'll see in like the writing community or like the author world.
Never really actually knew this.
So yeah, there are some things that are I think romance and romantasy are having a resurgence right now that is making people recognize that just because it's a different genre than what is written, it doesn't make it a lesser genre.
No, that's what I was thinking. I'm like, they're all good. Like, so like
you
can't really, but I guess you could. I guess I could see it.
Mm-hmm.
It would be like a different type of doctor.
Yeah, but not like everything has to be like, the craziest thing ever, right?
No.
It doesn't have to be the most mindfucky, like, I'm sitting in a cloud metaphor of how you have no idea what's happening in this thing.
Right.
Like sometimes just plain writing can also be just as impactful as like some crazy thing that you wrote that doesn't make a ton of sense, and you have to analyze like every color you wrote about to understand what the like point was.
I get it.
Right. So yeah, I think that's kind of the push and pull that people who are in writing or fine arts have had over time. Even like with like painting or anything like that, there's always like the levels of, I did this technique so I'm better than whatever, like there's all that in any type of field you're in. There's always going to be
somebody
push
that
and
thinks
pull,
they're
right?
better. Yeah.
So I like that this is kind of like a look inward at like, is the way we teach people the right way? Does it actually help you become a better writer? Or does it just like keep this like institutionalized standard of what is good and what is bad, which may not actually be true?
That's true. I didn't think about it like that.
Yeah.
It's just hard because you're sitting here like, holy shit. Like,
it's such a complex book beyond the fact that it's a total mind fuck on top of it.
Yeah.
And it's one of the things I actually really like about this book. This is actually, like I said, this is not a genre of book I would usually read, but I have a book club with one of my friends, so we should have a 2-person book club. And every month,
nobody was invited.
Every other month, one of us picks a book, and she doesn't typically read romance and stuff, and so I usually pick a romance, and then she's kind of getting up into that world, and then she's recommending more like fiction or like horror books and things that are outside of what I would typically read. Yeah. And it's been cool to kind of expand each other's horizons and like talk about it. So I would have never picked up Bunny, but I'm so happy I did, because it was such an interesting, fun read.
Yeah.
But so she gets invited to this meeting with the lion and Ursula. And I think she just knows it's with the lion. So she shows up, she's like, where are you? And he's like, I'm here. Just find me. Just follow my voice. And so she's like, but where are you? I don't know where you are. I can't see you. And he's like, I'm here. Just follow my voice. Like, and so she ends up getting knocked out, and she's like tied, like her hands are tied behind her back, and they're like critiquing her about this stuff. And then she's noticing after a while that their faces are not quite right, and they're both wearing leather gloves. And she's like, these are darlings. Like, these are the hybrids. The bunnies are fucking with me right now. And they're going to kill me, like, with these things. The two of them end up leaving. And she's, like, on the floor tied up. And the janitor shows up and he's like, not again.
Right? I thought that was weird. I thought it was like, I was like, what is happening that he's just like, yeah, no, not again.
He's like, I'm working at this fucking school of, like, all these weird performance artists that are just, like, doing these crazy things that they think are, like, high, like, cutting edge and high end and all these things. And he's like, get up. Like, I have to clean this space. She's like, can you untie me? And he's like, okay. And he, like, pulls the ribbon.
Like, you would be scared out of your mind, especially in performance art. Like, what's she going to come up and be like, credit, chop.
He just looks at her like, I can't believe I'm dealing with this again. He's just so exasperated. And he literally just, like, it's like a barely tied ribbon. Like, she could have undone it herself. And she realizes it afterwards, I could have untied myself, but she couldn't. She's like, there's no way I could have untied myself. I was stuck. And she ends up escaping and she goes back to Ava's. And she goes upstairs and she's sitting in a pool or she sees a dead swan in a pool of blood with his, like, head chopped off or whatever.
Yeah. And
she's like, what the fuck? And then Max shows up and he's like, oh my God, that's Ava. Like, that's Ava. And he's, like, so upset about the fact that she's dead. And that's when she realizes the swan that she used to watch in the pond became Ava, because she never saw that swan again after she met Ava.
Yeah.
So she's like, what has my imagination been doing? Like, and the bunnies will, when she re-encounters the bunnies later, will be like, you always were hanging out with that swan. It was so weird. And she's like, wait, I've been just hanging out with a bird this whole time. And Max is so upset that his love died. He grabs the axe that had killed her, and she knows it's the Duchess who did it, right? So she ends up following him. And this town is so fucked up. He's got a bloodied axe that he's just walking through town with. And she's following him close behind. And everyone's just like, just another day here. Like, and they just move on with their lives. They go to the bunny's house and she takes the axe from him. And they're all like, oh my God, it's Byron and Odysseus and whatever else. And they're, like, fighting over him about whose man he actually is. And he's just, like, not really reacting to it. They're just, like, pushing and pulling on him and stuff. And he's just standing there. And she's still got the axe, like, in her coat. And then eventually he turns into a stag and he, like, he uses his horns to, like, attack all of them. And then he runs off and the bunnies are all just, like, laying, like, they had, like, what, 3 broken legs between the, like, 7 broken ribs, like, multiple twisted ankles, broken arms, all this stuff between all of them. And she's just looking at all of their, like, broken bodies and they're all still alive. And she's like, okay. And she just drops the axe and leaves. And then that's, like, the end of where they're at. It's just like, okay, so her friend was a swan the whole time. Her friend's boyfriend was the stag she found that she saw in the yard on the first day with the bunny. Yeah. And then they end up, like, she finishes out her time at Warren. She writes her thesis. She's unblocked again because I think she became unblocked after she left the bunny cult, like, officially. Yeah. And then, so she was writing really well. The lion, like, she has some interactions where he's like, I loved your thesis. It was fantastic. That's, like, all they have. It's a very professional interaction. And then it's their graduation. And the bunnies are at the front of the tent because they're all so broken. They have to be up close to the stage. Yeah. And she's, like, trying to leave the whole time. She's like, I don't really want to be here. I just want to get my diploma and leave. And then she kind of interacts with Jonah again. And then it's just, that's the end of the story.
Yeah, and then I was, like, upset because I was, like, hoping, like, she would realize that, like, Jonah loved her. Like, I know! There was, like, certain things that I was like, what the fuck?
Well, it seemed like it was left open that they would kind of develop a friendship. But it was literally, like, she has no one left. Her imagination ran wild. She had all those hallucinations of her mom being, like, she was dancing on the roof with Ava and her mom being like, Samantha, this isn't real. You need to stop. Like, you need to stop letting your imagination run wild like this.
I wasn't sure because there was many times where I was like, oh, her mom's alive. Like, yeah. So I don't know.
I'm so confused.
This too.
So I ended this book so confused. I loved how the author wrote this book. It was fantastic. Like, I really enjoyed it. But now I think we have to actually read the next book.
Yeah, I think we do. Just maybe for some explanations. Like,
seriously. I'm pulling up my Goodreads so I can see what I
So
rated
on my
this.
Goodreads, I rated it a 4, but I think the whole time I was reading it, I was screaming 3.
You were like, I hate this book. What is going on? And I was like, damn, I thought I was gonna make Star happy. She's not reading a romance this time.
I think I rated it a 4 though, because I thought like, well, she did a great job writing the story, and the whole time I was questioning every fucking thing.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, for a thriller, this is fucking great. It's definitely a 4. It was, but I do have to say the whole time, if I would have done Goodreads at the beginning when I first started the book, it would have been a 3, which is mean, but like it was definitely like my brain was like, no. But then at the end, I realized like how much effort she put in as a writer to be able to like, just, I don't know, do it. Like it was a lot of like you said, there was a lot of we and the cult and all. And then I wasn't sure if it was schizophrenia or if she was just into her imagination. Like I was so confused and I was like, I have to give her at least a 4. Like she did a great job of making you literally be like,
yeah, I'd say
so
technically and storytelling wise, fantastic.
That's what I mean,
so
though.
fantastic.
Like sometimes Goodreads, I need more like the story was a 3, the like technical, like, but Goodreads doesn't do that. They just.
I also wish we could do half stars on Goodreads, but
yeah, there was something that I thought you could half star on, but not good.
I loved this book. I actually, when I read it the first time through, I was telling my friend, like, I was like, it's really hard for me to get through this writing because the writing was weird. It was like, she would say like things dotted with heart eye emoticons, and I was like, what the fuck does that even mean? And it took me a while to like get in the rhythm of how she wrote.
Like once you like,
but once I was in it, I was like, oh, like this is so interesting.
Yeah,
like, I really enjoyed it. And then as an audiobook reread, I actually thought it was really fun.
Yeah,
so
it was creepy,
and it was cool to see
like just the right amount of creep that you're like, I don't know, like
exactly. And it was cool to see like the like that you could see the foreshadowing in it. So you could see like every time she mentioned Ava's hair, it was white feathery hair. Like it was all the callback to she had a long neck, like all of these things that like made her a swan. Oh, the other thing that when they met the bunnies, before I forget, was when they go back to the bunnies' house after Ava's killed, they're all wearing her black silk dresses too. Like they're all dressed like Ava, and it's just so sad.
Were they swans too?
No. They were just being mean to her.
Okay, I was like double checking. I was like, did I miss a fucking innuendo here?
No,
like,
no.
Did she put something in and I was just like completely missing it?
No, they were just dressed in Ava's clothes to be like, yeah, fuck you more. Like,
yeah, I don't know. It'd be an interesting. I definitely want to read the second one now.
Yeah,
but it'd be interesting to like have their side of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I gave it 4 stars. I definitely enjoyed it. It took me a little bit, but I was like, okay. I get why this is a liked book.
Yeah, because if you think about it, though, you ever try to tell somebody your dream, like a dream that you've had?
Yeah.
That's kind of like this book. You're trying to tell a dream, but you're like, but then she turned into something. But really, there was my mom in my heart, like, and you're all confused and it's jumping all up. That's kind of how this book is.
100%.
Like, where like you understand what's happening, but you're also like, that doesn't make sense. Mm-hmm. But that does make sense because that's. But then you're also like, but wait, what did you think? Like,
yeah. It was such a.
What was your interpretation of that?
It was just an absolute mindfuck of a book, and I really enjoyed it.
It was good. I have to say, it was good. It was definitely nice not having romance, but it was definitely a moment where I was like, "What the hell has Katie got me reading?"
Yeah, we will definitely have to read the second book now. You convinced me. I was already thinking about it, and now I'm like, yeah, okay, let's do it. So I guess we'll try to put that on the schedule somewhere.
I was like, well, maybe if we don't, we could just do we could
do a bonus
quick clip or something.
Yeah, we'll do something with it. So that was our coverage of Bunny. If you are watching us on YouTube, I'm going to throw up a slide so you can follow us on social media, and we will see you in the next one.